Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. I know a few people are intending on wildcarding for game week 19, so I have put a team together to help you. I'm going to go through the different players I've selected, talk about the budget, and then go through some options at the end. So I hope this video helps. If it does, please give it a like, please hit that subscribe button, and in the meantime, let's take a look. Let's start off in goal then. I will go through some of my choices as we go through the video and talk about AFCON, the players that are going to the Asian Cup, and why I haven't chosen some of those and why I have chosen one of those. But I'm going to start in goal with Dubravka. I'm not entirely set in stone. It wouldn't take me a lot of convincing to go across to a Riot or someone like that, but money is quite tight with this, so you may have more money than I am playing around with, and we'll look at that at the end with choices. But Dubravka 4.2 just looks like such a great option. He's playing for the third best defence in the Premier League. One clean sheet in his 3 games. Forest looks like a really good fixture. After that, does look tricky. Liverpool, Man City, Villa. Maybe not too many clean sheets you're looking at there, but would it surprise me if they kept one out of those 3? Not at all. They've got some players coming back. Dan Burn, Botman is coming back as well. Trippier's had a rest. So they look quite stronger than they have done more recently. There is obviously the risk that they may go out in the January window and buy another keeper. We'll just have to keep an eye on that. I would rotate him with Areola, and that does come with a risk. I will have to wait and see if Areola's won his place back. I'm hoping that he has just been sat on the bench last couple of games in order to give him more time to recover from his wrist injury. Personally, I don't think Fabianski will keep his place, but we'll just have to keep an eye on that and wait and see. If that was the case, then he would dovetail with Areola. Otherwise, if you want to go Riot, I wouldn't be against that. If you want to spend more money, go for Martinez. I wouldn't try and convince you not to. But money being spread around in this wildcard side is quite tight. So for that reason, I've gone for Dubravka. Next on the list, then we've got Pedro Porro. He's just so attacking. I think he has to come in. I do think there's clean sheets in this fixture run for Tottenham as well. Kept one against that Forest, which is on here. Then they've got Everton at home in the next one coming up. Brighton away, Bournemouth at home. Great fixtures. He has been getting returns. He's one of the most attacking assets in the whole of FPL at the moment. And for that Tottenham side, he just takes set pieces, gets quite a few shots off. I think before the Forest game, it's like 10 in the last 3 games, which for a fullback's really good. So I just think there's so much potential without the clean sheets. But if you add those fixtures in, I think it looks pretty good for Pedro Porro. He has to come in. I'll be happy to play him pretty much against anyone because he has the ability to get those attacking returns. Next up, I have gone Tsimikas. I have to remind myself he's not as cheap an option as we think he is, because he has gone up $1 million over the last few game weeks, simply because now he's obviously taken Robertson's place. I do like that Liverpool defence. I do think it's decent. He does carry a sort of attacking a threat, more on the assists, but Robertson will be back soon, so it feels like you are booking a transfer in. I would not mind, as you'll see later on, if you want to move that to a Pau Torres, someone like that. But Tsimikas, I think, while 4.9 is a good way into that Liverpool defence, I do like it. I do think he's a decent option. Burnley away is a great fixture. You probably wouldn't mind benching him from Newcastle at home, and then Bournemouth away again is another one. But you have to keep an eye on Robinson, because you don't really want to be maybe shuffled out of having too many Liverpool players and blocking a move for someone else later on. But Tsimikas looks great to me. I've gone for Gabriel over Saliba in defence. If you have more money, I don't think there's any problem going for Saliba. The consensus is that over the last few weeks that Gabriel is less nailed than Saliba. At the moment, though, they both seem absolutely solid in that defence. So I don't feel there's much more value going for Saliba over Gabriel at 4.9. Neither really carry a huge attacking potential, but the fixtures look brilliant, and it's the best defence in the league. I think you need to have an Arsenal defender in there. For that reason, Gabriel comes in. And Bukayo Saka as well has gone up $500,000 since the start of the season. Good reason for that. He's been super consistent. 16 games, 13 returns. Underlying data looks brilliant. Fixtures looks fantastic. He is a set and forget, especially with a few players like Salah going away, Son going away. I just think he becomes even more valuable to put in your side. If you've got him already, great. You're saving yourself some money. If you haven't, $9 million, it's not too late. You've got to bring him in. Richarlison is a player I've gone on recently, and he looks really good. With Son going away in AFCON, I think he's a great option. He's much cheaper than Son. He will be playing down the middle. His form looks good. his whole goal involvement threat is through goals rather than assists, which is what you want. And he's down as a midfielder playing up front. It's almost like a perfect asset in FPL. I can't think of many reasons why you wouldn't want to go for him. Fixtures look decent away at West Brom, away at Brighton Hove Albion. They haven't kept a clean sheet in God knows how long. Bournemouth at home, Man U away wouldn't mind, and Brentford at home. They're just super attacking at the moment, Tottenham, creating a lot of chances. There's not much to not like about Richarlison. Chance he will be on penalties as well when Son goes away. The only thing you can say is sometimes he does get brought off a little bit earlier than you would like, but playing up front in a Tottenham side that's creating as much as it is at the moment, I just think is just a gift. And again, 6.7 is a really good price. Talking to players at a really good price, I just think Cole Palmer is a player you just cannot go without. He's potentially, you would say, the best player in that Chelsea side at the moment. Fixtures look brilliant. His underlying stats look great. That's without penalties. So put them on top and cost him at 5.6. It's just a player you don't want to go without. He's one of the first men on the sheet. If you don't own him and you're not even on a wildcard, you need to bring him in. He looks super brilliant. The next player I'm going to go for, and he is short-term punt. Oh, I can't use the word punt on Salah, can I? But it is short-term because he will potentially be going away to the AFCON. Not potentially, he will be going to AFCON. So he will be missing that Bournemouth game. Chelsea game probably as well. Should be back after that, but it all depends on the progress that Egypt have. If they win the whole tournament, time getting back off afterwards, could be that he misses up to 3 games. But that Burnley away game, I don't think I'd want to go into that game without him, and you do have the money for it. So whether after that you just want to hold him, whether you want to keep him for Newcastle and then sell him for Bournemouth Chelsea, will have to be a decision. I think for me, I will probably, being a Salah owner and not wildcarding, probably get rid of him at the Newcastle game. I don't really think that game's got enough value to keep him, and I can use that money elsewhere. But again, with the likes of Son having gone, and if you've already got Saka, I don't know, there's not many other players that you need that money for potentially. Could you put him up front, put that money up front and Haaland and have a decent third striker? You can decide that. But Salah, 13.2, I think for that Burnley game away is just a brilliant fixture. Then whether you hold him or keep him for Newcastle, and I think if you keep him for Newcastle, you possibly just hold him through. But underlying stats are brilliant. I don't need to convince you about Salah. He is a good captaincy option in Gameweek 19. Let's have a look at the next player. Next one is Gareth Bowen. I think he would probably be benched for the first fixture, which is away at Arsenal. But after that, he just comes in. Underlying stats are decent. I wouldn't say they're brilliant, but 10 goals in 16 games is just fantastic. 7.7 is a decent price. We know he's absolutely nailed. He just looks great. I've got him again in FPL and he doesn't let me down. Constantly I feel like I'm going to get rid of him. I just think 2-3 games doesn't produce. I'm almost wanting to get rid of him to move on to other assets. But he keeps doing it. West Ham keep churning over the results, especially at home. Brighton at home's got goals. Sheffield United and Bournemouth look like good fixtures. Gareth Bowen just looks brilliant. And like I said, most of his threat is in terms of goals as well, which is where the points are and what you want. Haaland, we're putting him in for now. Entirely up to you whether you want to. We'll have to wait and see. At the time of recording, he hasn't made the lineup for the first World Club Championship, so there's still got to be a doubt as to whether he'll be back for that Everton game. I think whether he is back for the Everton game, if we know he's going to be back for the Sheffield United game, he has to be in for that Sheffield United game. So whether or not potentially with the bench you've got here, you just leave him on the bench for Everton away to save yourself a transfer later on, I'd be tempted to do that because you're not going to want to go to Sheffield United at home without him. Underlying stats are brilliant. I don't need to go through all of that. I don't think it's even worth reminding you about 14 goals in 15 games, 19 returns in 15 games. He absolutely has to be in your side if he's fit. It's just when he's fit, we have to watch this space. If he's not fit and if he doesn't make the squad for the Everton fixture, then I think there is a case for maybe leaving him out, and then we'll look at another striker in a minute. But again, I'm always going to be worried about that Sheffield United game. Newcastle away, I can think I'd live without. If you think he's not going to be fit for that Sheffield United game, we get news, then possibly just go without, and we'll look at an alternative striker in a minute. This one was a really tough call between him, and we'll look at another one in a minute. But Jesus, just a fixtures for Arsenal, I think, just swing it. It's such a good player as well. Again, his main threat is through goals. His injury record this season hasn't been great, but he looks like he's getting a run of fixtures and up front. 7.9, I think he's a really good option. Bit of a differential at the moment as well. West Ham at home, Fulham, Palace, Forest looks like a great run of fixtures. Playing from a side that we talk about they're not perhaps the force they were last season, not creative as they were last season, but they're still pushing for the title race and they still look really good. So Jesus, for me, he comes in. I've not gone through the players on the bench, but Pau Torres, Colwill, and then as a cheap striker option, depending on how much you've got, you could either completely go down to an enabler on someone like Archer or Mubamu, and then just save some money, depending on what you got, or I'd put Malpai for 4.9, just because he is playing for Brentford, and it just gives you a playing option. But Colwill, we've looked at their fixtures, they look brilliant. He looks pretty nailed in that Chelsea side. I think that's a great option. And Pau Torres, I would bench him for this week. And again, he looks a great option. Aston Villa's defence looks really good. Their numbers look brilliant. So the side looks good. The bench will look good. I'm not saying this is a side that how it would set out in game week 19. Cost is around about 102.1, but it depends on who you've already got in your side and how much value. For instance, Saka, 9 million, but you may already have had him, so your value you don't need as much as that, so you could have saved money. Salah obviously goes to AFCON, so future potential issues would be Tsimikas, because of Robertson coming back. Salah, because it would go to AFCON. Don't know when Haaland's back. Dubravka also, we don't know if he's going to keep his place. And Malpai isn't 100% nailed. And also, you've got to remember, Tony will be back shortly as well. The other thing we've got is just no Watkins. And that is, I think, an issue. If we get news that Haaland is not around, I think he comes out, he misses the Everton game. If he's going to miss the Sheffield United game, Watkins just comes in, because I can live without Haaland away to Newcastle because they're so good defensively, and then I've got a decision to make who to take out to bring Haaland in. But by that time you may have got rid of Salah, so you've got the funds therefore to downgrade to another midfielder and bring in Haaland as well. That is your option. The other one as well to save you money is you could downgrade someone like a Bowen if you wanted to and go to Gordon, and then you could look to upgrade somewhere else. That would save you $1.5 million. Could upgrade to a Trippier. You could move from someone like you wouldn't have enough money to go for Tsimikas, so you could start to look at going down from Malpai to someone else, and then bringing in Bowen to Gordon, for instance, and then Trippier in midfield. And we've talked about Watkins as well. I just think he looks like a fantastic option. And the one player we haven't even talked about, well, there is a couple that in the new year that you could look at. Tony, but maybe a bit too soon. And Kunku's coming back. He could be a really interesting option, and we'll look at that on watch list. And Maddison is due back at some point as well. So suddenly does he become a good option in that Tottenham midfield. But essentially, I think this would be my wildcard side at the moment. Let me know what you think. That's it for this one then. Let me know in the comments below if you are wildcarding for game week 19 and who do you think you should be bringing in. Is there anyone on that list I've completely overlooked that I ought to be bringing in that you think is essential? In the meantime, we'll be back at you with team selection videos, watch list for game week 19 and beyond. So make sure you hit the like if you found this useful and hit that subscribe button as well. In the meantime, take care, good luck, shall speak to you soon.